Okay, now we're going to talk about rotating schedules. This is actually a pretty nifty little feature. So what we've got here is, let's say we've got a lot of databases on a server, but we've only got, an hour or two every night that we can dedicate to this. Maybe only 30 minutes, who knows? So we can rotate through all of the databases until they're done. This is very easy. So if we just go to the CheckDB settings rotation table, you'll see here we've got Minion default for the database name. Now for CheckDB, this will always be Minion default, right? And how do we want to limit it? Do we want to limit it by DB count or by time? And so again, here we've got count right here. And then time is going to be in minutes. It's always going to be in minutes right now. And right now we've chosen a rotation value of 10, which means for count, we're going to go through 10 databases and then we're going to stop. And then next time it runs, we'll go through the next 10 databases and stop. And then the next 10 databases and stop, and so on, right? And here it means we'll go for 60 seconds and then stop. And then we'll go to and then the next time we'll run for 60 seconds and get the next set of databases and then stop, and so on, right? So this rotation period in days isn't being used right now. So these rows come shipped with the product. And you notice we also have the same thing for check table, which we'll talk about soon. And all you've got to do is turn that on. So right now I want to limit these databases by 10, right? So the only other requirement is that you don't have anything in the include. So I don't want to process a single database. I want to process all the databases, but I only want to make it 10 at a time, right? So, and the reasoning is sound, right? If you include a certain number of databases, you're telling me that you specifically want to process these databases. It would be, I would say, irresponsible of me to turn around and limit you to only those 10, right? So it only looks at the rotation settings if include is null. And probably exclude too, but it probably only looks at include. So now that we've got that, I'm running a CheckDB. And I think it also has to have CheckDB or check table explicitly outlined. I think it has to be explicitly called as CheckDB or check table. At least the CheckDB has to be for CheckDB. Anyway, so I'm running a CheckDB here, and I have truncated the log details table so we can focus just on what we've got here. So now when I hit go, I'm running through all these guys. 13% for AdventureWorks, 84% for AdventureWorks. There we go. Now I'm on database number 5. Oh, and this one's actually doing a remote. So it's going to take this a minute. I'm going to go ahead and pause this, and then I'll come back when they're all done. But I never turned off the remote settings from this one for the last set of videos, so I'm just going to let it go. Here we are. That actually only took another minute. And here we are. You can see I've got 10 rows right here. The remote one failed because, of course, I wasn't expecting it to be remote, so I didn't clean up after myself. So I expected this failure. But it did 10 of these guys, and then it stopped. And you can see the 10 that it did. Report server, CDC, all of this, right? So now let's run it again. And with it being a different run, it's going to run a different set of databases. It's going to run the next 10 in line. So let's go ahead and kick that off. And let's take a look. You can see, so it's running Minion backup again because it didn't complete last time. So it's going to try to run it again, right? So if you had CheckDB errors themselves, then the CheckDB errors themselves wouldn't cause it to do that. But since this one didn't actually complete, it's going to keep trying it until it completes. So see, here's one complete with errors. That actually means that there were errors in the database, not errors with the process. And how many rows do we have here? And there we go. So now you can see we got a different set of databases now, right? We've got MB12 and MB12 issues and Gen Demo. So we've got a completely different set of databases now. So now if we run, actually, I'm going to go ahead and fix this so that it doesn't do it. So that it'll go ahead and run this one. So I'm just going to turn off the remote. So for Minion Dev right here, I'm going to go ahead and turn off the remote CheckDB, and that should do it. There we go. Now when we run this guy again, we'll probably get Minion Dev again. So we're starting with Minion. Oh, and we already got Minion Dev. See, it ran really fast. We're still running. We're at 23% for Minion. But anyway, you get the idea. So that is how to set up the rotating schedules for CheckDB.